Looks like we are live. I'm sure people will start trickling in here very soon. It's a much different time than I normally stream. I might stream again later. Um, I'm not sure what's going on later though, so that's why I figured I'd stream right now, just simply for the fact that I have time right now. Why not? This is something that I said I was going to do a few days ago. I sent this video in my Discord and said I'm going to react to this at some point. I don't think I'm going to get through all of it today. Um, I might even get to it later tonight. If you've never been in any one of my streams, you'll know that it takes me like an hour to get through a 8-minute video because I like to talk so much and I like to give my input on I feel like I really want to give my input on certain ideas because everyone can do a reaction, but I don't think everybody can talk about one singular idea for so long. So it's just fun for me to do, and it's something that I think certain people appreciate. Maybe you just want to watch the video. Maybe you don't want to hear my input, and if that's the case. Yeah, let me know. But I feel like it's just more fun to um, kind of do my own thing, to kind of take whatever content I'm watching and make it more my own than the other person's. I think that's really the whole idea of transformative content. That's really what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like you see some of the biggest Twitch streamers, they literally just put it on and then like just make faces. Like I don't want to do that. I want to give my own input. I want to give my own ideas, even if they're wrong. So yeah, we'll start the video right now. It's awkward. Press the space bar. I didn't play. I'll watch this.
Law 1. Never outshine.
I thought my mouse pad was going to stop working. We'll do 1.25 speed so that there's a bigger chance I get through this.
The master. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite, inspire fear and insecurity.
This is the idea of like, if you have a boss, it's never good to do something that like is so spectacular that it takes away from their shine because whenever you're dealing with a boss, whenever you're dealing with someone else, they have their own ego, and if you damage their ego, it's a very bad thing to do. I mean, especially if they control your paycheck, especially if they say like, "Oh yeah, you can feed your family," or not. Like, it's always something to keep in mind. And I think the biggest caveat with this one is like, it's not necessarily wrong to do something great if you're in a subordinate position, but it's wrong to not give credit to the boss. Because if the person 3 steps ahead of your boss is like congratulating you, like I don't think that's something that you should take all the credit for. You should always parlay it into the boss because ultimately that's the person that's going to promote you. That's the person that is going to recognize that you bring value to the team and you don't want to make an enemy out of the person that is directly above you.
Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical.
I think the easiest way to understand this idea is like, how many times have you loaned your friend like $20, $30? It doesn't have to be a large amount of money. Maybe it is. Maybe you really got screwed over by a friend, but like how often have they been like, but I got you this, you know what I mean? It's like when you really need that money back, they're so quick to give you an excuse. Whereas like if you lend money to someone that you really don't know that well, that's a bigger guarantee that you're going to get it back, especially if you don't like the person. Like if you're lending them money, they're going to try to prove it to you that, you know what, I'm actually a good person. I'm actually this, I'm actually that. Like I think that's the greatest example of this. And you see time and time again when people go into business with their friends, it usually doesn't work out. How many times have you like roomed with someone? How many times have you like signed a lease with someone and you find out that like maybe you love the person as an individual, but you don't love them as a roommate. Like it's that idea. It's always better to find someone that is not as crazy, isn't the life of the party to room with, versus rooming with someone that is going to like keep you up all night. It's a very weird idea where people try to mix business with pleasure. They try to go into business with their friends, and it's something I would urge you to stay away from. Again, it's a case by case scenario because let's say you have a friend that is basically like your family. You guys have similar goals, and you don't really butt heads, and you really have weighed out the possibility of them screwing you over, and you don't think it's going to happen. Like, go ahead, by all means, do it. But I would just say be wary about it.
But hire a former enemy, and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from friends than from enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by
When people know what you're doing, when they see the end goal, they can anticipate it and come up with a plan to basically get back at you, thwart your plans, or in some way deter you from reaching your goals. It's always better to not tell people your end goal because, I mean, if you have big dreams, the moment you tell people these dreams is the moment they try to break them down. So it's always better to just kind of just, keep on pushing on, keep it to yourself, and then let them find out when you achieve it.
never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelop them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. Law 4. Always say less.
This is a law that's very ironic, friends. This is the idea that less is more. This is the idea that like Emerson is perhaps the greatest writer of all time, and he really didn't write that much stuff. A lot of what he wrote was purely essays, and a lot of his ideas are just boiled down into like his greatest work is like 12 pages long. And it's like it takes most authors entire novels to make a point, entire 400-page books to say the same amount. And it's like it's almost better to leave room for interpretation so that people fill in the gaps of their imagination. It's almost better to say less so that people have to in some way elevate what you said. Um, this is not something I would say everyone should do because if you're a great speaker, if you are very poetic, if you can say things in a manner that is moving, I think that is something that you should utilize more. But for most people, I think the more they say, the more they incriminate themselves. It's when you're getting Mirandized, they say anything you say can and will be used against you. It's this idea. It's like certain context, I would very urge you to follow this. Like if you're in the office, don't talk about your politics, don't talk about your beliefs because you never know who's listening, you never know who's going to report you. Like there's certain environments where this is true, but there's also certain environments where expressing yourself is very valuable. And I'm pretty sure Robert Greene uses this caveat because most of these laws do have, he calls it a reversal, where basically like there's a circumstance where you want to go against the grain, where you want to go against the law. So
Than necessary. When you
that's the most interesting part about this book is like he calls them laws, but in every single instance he actually there's a few instances where he doesn't give a caveat, but there are pretty much in every circumstance a an exception to the rule, a scenario where you want to go against it.
you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it.
This is something that I think gets more important every single day. I mean, you see with social media the ability that like if people like you basically have um income for the rest of your life. Like think of how many celebrities that were mildly popular years ago that are now just pumping like either crypto coins or betting websites or they're just getting like podcasting deals. Like it's very interesting today like how far your reputation can take you and it's something that you must really, really be careful to guard because I mean, dude, up until what a year ago, Kanye could do no wrong, and now like he's persona non grata. Like it's very easy to um get into rabbit holes, especially online, that make you make you say things that make people not like you. And it's very it's something you don't want to open yourself up to because you want to be able to have discussions but not be so ingrained in certain things that make you not likable, we'll say. I think it's very important to stay nonpartisan to that, and I think it's very important to really curtail your individual political beliefs and try to see everyone's perspective. I think these are things that we need to do more and more, especially now today.
With your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked.
It's really hard to build up your reputation as well. I think one of the only examples of people like and this is to say not everyone even realizes like that he's coming back into the public image, but I think Mel Gibson's one of the greatest examples. Like he had a horrendous what is it called, a voicemail that was leaked basically, and it ruined his reputation. He didn't get movies for years. He kind of had to go out on his own, and it's like only now after years and years and years and how it's kind of faded into the like faded into the background that like he's starting to get invited on shows. He's starting to get more and more recognition, and it's like it's so hard to build up a reputation, but it's even harder to build it back up after you destroy it. So that's very important in this aspect.
On all sides, make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. Law 6.
We live in a day and age where the court of public opinion is more important than the actual court. O.J. Simpson was never found guilty of murder. Well, he was in civil court, but he was never found guilty of murder in criminal court. But it's almost as if he was because for the rest of his life he was seen as a murderer. And it's like I'm not saying that he didn't deserve the ridicule. I'm saying like there's certain circumstances where you'd almost rather be in jail than be subject to this public scrutiny.
Court attention at all cost. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd then, or buried in oblivion.
Whenever you can walk into a room and you're magnetic, whenever you can garner attention, that's always going to be something that's very valuable. No matter the field you're in, think about it like there's entire YouTube channels devoted to like Pokemon cards. There's entire YouTube channels devoted to every single niche. And like if you can have a hobby, if you can have an obsession and you can garner attention with it, you can start a business nowadays. It's really a new age of things and like the more niche your talent, the more niche your interest, I think the more likely you are to really make it big. It's really an exciting time and it's really such an awesome time because there's so many people on the internet making money off of their passions and you're like it's almost like inspiring. Like, it's almost like an awesome thing to say because like when could like talking about movies, when could talking about books, when could talking about your favorite subject make you so unreasonably rich? Like it's truly an awesome age. I mean, this is what social media should do. This like social media should like bring out these aspects of things. They should make the world a better place. They should make it so that people can make money off their passions. But time and time again, I think it's taken in a negative sense. But it truly is such a positive force for good if you really fixate on that.
Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
I think when I so I've filmed videos for every single Law of Power, and I think when I said this, I was like, I had an editor at the time, and I was like, this is what I do. My editor puts in all the hard work, and I do nothing, and I take all the. I made that joke. I don't think he ever watched the video, so he didn't even get mad at me. But this is in essence like what every boss does. I think the greatest example of this is Thomas Edison. Like we credit him for all the inventions, but he was really the financier. He was really the person that brought all these teams together and orchestrated all the work. And there's something to be said about that because without his input, without his financing, like the night sky would not be lit up by light bulbs. Like we wouldn't have electricity everywhere. And now you can say he didn't do any of the dirty work himself, but he was the one that orchestrated it all. And it's like, I mean, are we going to take away the credit from Bill Belichick for all the work he did? He never actually played. He never was on the field, but he won what, 6 or 7 Super Bowls? I don't even know. I don't even know how many he's won, but are we going to take the credit away from him because he didn't actually play? Or are we going to give him the credit because he organized all the greatest players to make the most of them? And that's the idea of this. It's like, well, you might not necessarily do the work. You do get the shine. You do get the appeal because you're the one that took the risk. You're the one whose name is going to be associated with this victory or with this loss. So it's like it kind of comes with the territory.
Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause.
He's
Not
showing
only will such
Tesla
assistance
because this is
save
what
you
Edison did
valuable
with
time
Tesla.
and
Edison, a lot of people don't know this, but Nikola Tesla once worked for Thomas Edison, and basically they butted heads at some point, and then Tesla went on his own, and then God, was it Westinghouse or something, some like name like that. This guy basically financed him, and then he was also financed by J.P. Morgan. But then we get into how Tesla's works were kind of buried because it threatened JP Morgan and the oil industry and Rockefeller and all this. It gets very complicated. It gets very conspiratorial, but yeah, it's very interesting to see that like a lot of like early Edison inventions were improved upon by Tesla.
energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do yourself what others can do for you. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control.
When you can, when you're in a fight, when you're in conflict, when you're in some sort of strategical thing, when you can get the person to strike first, they usually overexpose themselves. This is something I do a lot of times in fighting. I get someone to give me something. Either they extend an arm, either they put their weight in some way, and I try to take advantage of it. It's always easier to bait a response and then be prepared for it than it is to get blindly attacked and not be prepared. So it's almost advantageous to show some sort of victory, show some sort of route for success, and then be prepared to retract that and then, respond.
It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Any momentary triumph you think you have gained through argument is really a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion.
This is probably I think this might be the most important law. If it's not the most important, it's one of them. It's definitely top five, but the idea of winning an argument is not like to win an argument is to stir up resentment in someone else. When you break down someone's idea, it usually makes them feel dumber about themselves. It usually makes them feel negatively about you. So it's always better to basically put the right idea in front of the person to steer them in the right direction than to tell them they're wrong. Like it's always better to show through your actions why you're right than it is to explain to them because someone associates their identity, they associate their intelligence with their ideas. And when these things are broken down, even if it's for their betterment, even if it's because they're so wrong that like they could direct their energy in a better way and they could get a better outcome, like people don't want to be wrong. People want to be right and they want to feel good about themselves. And when you stir up resentment, this is when you create enemies. It's not good to create resentful people because resentful people might one day become your boss. They might one day hold some power over you. They might be able to leak information that can lead to your downfall. I mean, I'm just grasping at straws here, but like you never want to arm people that that are very close to you, that have some power over you with any sort of excuse to get back at you.
It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Demonstrate, do not explicate. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional state.
Actually, this is the most important law. Avoiding people that are unhappy and unlucky. I hate to say it, but we all have friends like this. Hopefully, they're not as present in your life as they used to be, but we've all known people that, for whatever reason, can't seem to figure it out. And it's always the world's fault. It's always everyone else's fault. It's always everything around them. Maybe they have the worst luck. Maybe they do. But if you continue with the outlook that everything is going wrong, that the world hates you, that all of these things, like all you're going to do is continue to live this way. And I don't want to be brought down by this. I don't want this force pulling me down. Like you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. And if you're spending time with someone who is so unlucky, so unhappy, all they're going to do is bring you down. And it's a sad reality that we need to face. And it's something that I think really the only thing that you can do is remove yourself from the situation and check back in a few years if they're in their same spot. Like try to inspire them to be better. Try to show them that like you did this and then this happened. Like try to just push them in the right direction. But if it continues to be an issue, like you at a certain point you got to pull the plug. At a certain point you gotta remove these stimuluses from your life so that you can grow. Because whatever friendship you have is not as valuable as yourself. You got to put yourself first at a certain point, and my friendship can't come at the expense of myself. My friendship can't come at the expense of my own life because to do that is unfair to me. It's unfair to you as well because you deserve to be all you can be. If seeing me grow is a bad thing for you, then like I don't know what to tell you.
States are as infectious as diseases. You may feel you are helping the drowning man, but you are only precipitating your own disaster. The unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. Associate with the happy and fortunate instead. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. To maintain your independence, you must always be needed and wanted. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have.
This is the idea of becoming indispensable. Um, so many people are afraid of their jobs getting taken by AI. So many people are like, well, AI is going to replace this. AI will replace the jobs that are replaceable. But if your role is so unique that even human beings can't replace it, your job will be safe. It's the same thing with any sort of position. Like salesmen are irreplaceable because their contacts is what continues to allow the business to thrive. So when the business is failing, they're not going to fire the salesman unless it's going bankrupt. They're going to fire the salesman when everything is going to shit. But like the first people to go are always the people that provide the least. And it's like bringing something to the table that cannot be replaced, bringing something to the table that is essential to the business is the only surefire way to get freedom. Is the only surefire way to have leverage when you ask for a raise or when you ask for more responsibilities or when you ask for some sort of freedom, whether it's working from home or doing this or doing that. Like make yourself indispensable so that you have some bargaining chips, so that you have some leverage. It's very interesting that people want to make more money. People want to, be more valuable, but they don't ask how they can make themselves indispensable. If you make yourself so valuable to the company that they will miss your presence, I promise you, you're going to get a bigger raise. I promise you, you're going to get a better job. I promise you that if this company doesn't value you, another company will.
Make people depend on you for
Earl Nightingale says, if you want to make more money, learn how to serve more people. I think this is the idea.
their happiness and prosperity, and you have nothing to fear. Never teach them enough so that they can do without you. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. One sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. Once your selective honesty opens a hole in their armor, you can deceive and manipulate them.
So if you've ever dealt with toxic people, I'm not saying this is one you should really use because it is a very manipulative one, but if you've ever dealt with toxic people, you recognize that this has happened to you. Um, they act so outlandishly, they do all these things, and then when you're finally done with this behavior, they're like, "Well, I'm this way because of this. I'm this way because this happened to me," and you feel very sympathetic, and you kind of write it off, and then next thing you know, it's happening again. And it's the same old excuse and it's the same old excuse. And it's just an endless cycle until you're finally so fed up that you can't deal with it anymore. And it's like, um, unless the person deals with this issue, unless they deal with whatever it is that is forcing them to do these things, like I don't think this is someone that you should keep in your life. And you need to recognize these things because a lot of people recognize these things too late. A lot of people live their whole lives and then, 20, 30 years down the line, they end up getting divorced because whoever they married didn't deal with their issues. They didn't deal with their trauma. They didn't try to elevate themselves for the sake of someone else. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm in a relationship right now and I want to be all that I can be so that I can make my girlfriend happy. So that I can be the person that she deserves because she deserves the world. Like we all deserve the world and we all have to help ourselves so we can help others. We need to resolve our own things first so that we can be the person that we need to be for everyone else. What's up, just when you I'm literally screaming because you were giving me shit and you show up late. That's crazy.
them at will. A timely gift, a Trojan horse, will serve the same purpose. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their.
This is this is something that is almost haunting, but it's so true. Like whenever you're asking someone for help, show them why it's going to help them first. Don't say that, oh, it's I helped you in the past. Oh, I did this for you in the past. Like that's never the right answer because it's just human nature to say, what have you done for me lately? That's the idea. Like we need to understand that like we should never appeal to gratitude or mercy because these are subjective characteristics. You should always appeal to self-interest because the individual is all about self-preservation. If you can show me why helping you is a good thing, I'm going to help you, even if I don't know you. And this is the thing we need to understand because sympathies go by the day. Sometimes people are going to be more empathetic than others. Sometimes people really don't have the ability to overextend themselves, and helping you out might put them in a bad position. But if you show them how it's going to put them in a better position, now you're doing something. Now you're working something. Do you remember the friend I was having a fight with? Yeah, what happened
Their
with that?
mercy or gratitude. If you need to turn to an ally for help, do not bother to remind him of your past assistance and good deeds. He will find a way to ignore you. Instead, uncover something in your request or in your alliance with him that will benefit him and emphasize it out of all proportion. He will respond enthusiastically when he sees something to be gained for himself. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a.
This is the idea of like um, gathering information um, for the sake of using it against someone in the future. I don't. This is not something I necessarily do. Like I know a lot of people out in this world are like passive aggressive, try to be your friend, try to get to know things, and then the moment you tell them something, they go and tell someone else, and it's like this has happened to me so many times where like I've trusted people where I've told them things that are very personal, and next thing you know, everyone else knows, and it's like there's a time and a place to share personal details with other people. I think like if someone's really going through something and like they tell me something, I don't know how to deal with it. I'm gonna go to my other friend and be like, what do I do for this? That's the only time where I'm gonna tell personal details. But you need to be aware that a lot of people are two-faced. A lot of people care more about you as an entity than you as a person. They only interact with you because you can give them something, and the moment you give them information that can in some way benefit them, that can make them seem, oh, I know this about this person, oh, this person, like people love to spread drama because they like they like this aspect of things. Like they don't have enough drama in their own life, so they have to stir up shit with other people, and it's very sad that like we have people that will purport to be your friends, but the moment you go against anything that they are for, they're going to tell everybody. They're going to tell the world. It really sucks how things are. Basically, they said they hate me and I should go to hell, and they were talking, bro, who cares? It's high school, bro. Like, I need you to understand that, like, especially because you're a girl, you're not going to be friends with anyone from high school. I think it's easier to be friends with guys from high school because like I don't need to text my friends for like years and like it's like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like everyone that I still know, everyone that I'm still cool with from like whether it's high school or college, like I don't need to text them every day. I don't need to keep them updated on my life. Like they know I'm doing shit. I know they're doing shit. So it's like if if they call me, it's like whatever. It's like, well, yo, what's up, dude? Like it picks up from there. Whereas like I think a lot of the people that you're dealing with right now, you're going to see that they're not really your friends. You're not in high school. It's the same. It's even worse if you're not even in high school. It's even worse. The- I don't know what level of school you're in. Don't tell me. I don't care. I don't know what level, but it's even worse. Like the further back you go, the less people you're going to stay in contact with. That's really just how it works. People change, people get different, and take it as a good thing because you'd rather have the friendship break up now than in 10 years. Imagine 10 more years of memories with this person, and imagine how it would feel if you don't talk to them anymore. That's how you should view these things. Like, I'm glad people show their true colors. I'm glad people show themselves to be not my ally, not my friend. Because this means that I no longer need to give attention to them. I could give the attention to myself. I could give the attention to the people that really have my back. I only have a handful of friends nowadays. There's only a few people that I contact. And it's so much better because the relationship's so much deeper. I know I can rely on them. I know I can tell them everything. I know I can, if I really need, go to them for advice. It's such a better feeling than feeling like this person doesn't have my back.
Spy. Knowing about your rival is critical. Use spies to gather valuable information that will keep you a step ahead. Better still, play the spy yourself. In polite social encounters, learn to probe. Ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. There is no occasion that is not an opportunity for artful spying. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. All
This is the idea that if you allow an enemy to regroup, you allow them to plot behind your back and eventually come back to take revenge. So it's like, let's say someone is insubordinating you and you keep them around, they're going to remember this moment and they're going to be stirred up with resentment, stirred up with rage, and eventually try to get back at you. It's always better to nip it at the bud than keep a problem lingering. And it's understanding this idea that the first surrender is always an opportunity to regroup and wiping this out at the root of the issue and removing it from your life because you don't want to stir resentment in anyone. You don't want to create enemies that can eventually take their revenge on you. You always want to get rid of them completely. You're like one of my teachers, you pause the video every 20 seconds. I have to. That's how copyright works. I have to pause it every 20 seconds. You realize that?
great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him, not only in body, but in spirit. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much.
This is the idea of like the more you're around, the more needy you seem. Um, like the more I'm in your mind, the more you remember my bad characteristics, whereas the more you forget me, you only remember me for the good. Think of your friends that you haven't seen in a while. Do you remember what annoys you about them, or do you remember the good characteristics? I haven't seen one of my best friends in like 3, 4 months, and like I don't think of him for all the times he pisses me off, all the times I have to wait for him to do something. I just think of like the laughs I have. This is the effect that people have in your head. The more present they are, the more you're going to remember their negative characteristics, but the less present they are, the more you only remember the idealized version of them. Because that's what our mind likes to do. Our mind likes to idealize things. So the more you can remove yourself, the more you're idealizing yourself in other people's minds.
Circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the
Oh
more
my God.
common you appear.
Dude, how like I don't know how you deal with that. I hate that Sigma Boy song is awful. It's like genuinely anytime I have to hear that song, I just like want to punch my wall or something. Like it's the like Skibbity Toilet, at least it's like it's brain rot, but it's like I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's a joke, but I know that like this Sigma Boy one is like, oh yeah, we're gonna go off this trend. We're gonna do it. Like it's awful.
If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave, create value through scarcity.
That actually is torture,
Law
though.
17. Keep others in suspense. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Humans are creatures of
When you're predictable, you're boring. When you're unpredictable, you're exciting. You're intantalizing. You're fascinating. The idea that someone can't know your next move is something that will make you more interesting, even if you're not interesting at all.
habit, with an insatiable need to see familiarity in other people's actions. Your predictability gives them a sense of control. Turn the tables. Be deliberately unpredictable. Behavior that seems to have no consistency or purpose will keep them off balance, and they will wear themselves out trying to explain your moves. Taken to an extreme, this strategy can intimidate and terrorize. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself.
This is the idea of it takes a village. It's never been advantageous for people to isolate themselves from everyone because when you have no friends, you have no allies. And at a certain point, we need allies. At a certain point, we need people to help us with things. And if you look to any great movement, if you look to any great genius, there's always someone supporting them. There's always even if it's just fans, even if it's just followers, there's always some sort of support. And it's these support networks that make people great. It's never done through the individual. It's always done through mass movements of people.
Isolation is dangerous. The world is dangerous and enemies are everywhere. Everyone has to protect themselves. A fortress seems the safest, but isolation exposes you to more dangers than it protects you from. It cuts you off from valuable information. It makes you conspicuous and an easy target. Better to circulate among people, find allies, mingle. You are shielded from your enemies by the crowd.
This is the cringe voice of your network is your network. I hate that shit so much. It's like if you only know people in passing and you have no deep connections, your network doesn't mean shit. If you genuinely have good friends that are willing to stick out their neck for you, then that's a network. But like the idea of networking is so fucking fake. Okay. I hate it so much. I hate the idea of LinkedIn. I hate everyone going on and being like, oh yeah, I got this arbitrary position title change. So instead of getting a raise, I have this title that makes me feel like I have more power. Aren't I great? Like it's so fake. It's so engineered. It's so annoying. Like when I have connections with people, they're genuine. I'd rather have a few genuine connections with some really good people than 1,000 people in my address book because I can't ask anything of those 1,000 people. But I can ask something of all those people. When the chips are down, when I really need help, I can ask those people to do anything for me. That's the idea that you should go about, okay? I don't know if my YouTube's glitching. Yeah, no one's commenting right now. Not a lot of people comment in my live streams.
Law 19. Know who you are dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. There are many different kinds of
I have a great example of this. I have a friend that if someone unfollows him on Instagram, he will hold it against them for years, and he's like, "This person's a hater of mine." Even though he probably just posted a picture and I'm like, I barely know this guy. Why am I still following him? I don't really care about it. Like, it's probably not. There's probably no like harm, no foul. Like, it's probably just like I also don't really like want to. I don't really want to keep up with this guy. I really don't care about like. There's probably no malice behind it, but it's like he's like, "You shall know pain." Like my friend, like he's literally the Vegeta archetype. It's so funny.
people in the world, and you can never assume that
I would
others
get back
will
at
react to
everyone
your
that wronged me.
strategies in the same way. Deceive
It's
or
so
outmaneuver
funny.
some people, and they will spend the rest of their lives seeking revenge. They are wolves in
There's more
wolves'
people like
clothing.
that than you think. Think of the people that will like try to run you off the road if you cut them off in traffic. Like there's so many people that a minor inconvenience to them is more important than their lives. It's you got to be very careful, especially nowadays. Same thing when you go out to a club, when you go out to a bar, you bump into the wrong guy, they're willing to die over their honor. It's so fucking stupid.
Choose your victims and opponents carefully then. Never offend or deceive the wrong person. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. It
I need to text my no. Um, um, this is the idea of just don't be partisan. When you're partisan, this is when you're going to agree to things that you don't necessarily agree with. When you favor one side or the other, like you inherently go against yourself in some way. So just be careful with what you commit to. Understand that like vehemently connecting to something alienates you from something else. Thomas Sowell says something really great. There's no such thing as solutions, there's trade-offs. It's the same thing in making a decision. Like being too far in one direction makes you blind to the other direction's problems and their causes and alienates you from 50% of the people. You know the way you used to do lives in your basement? No, I don't like those lives because it's just nonsense. It's so boring. Like I don't want to like it's not that I care about trolling. It's not that I care about any of that. It's just dude, I don't like this the people that click on these types of videos are 50 IQ point higher than the people that would click on the other videos. It was literally like I was getting like a brain rot audience. I don't want a brain rot audience. I want a real audience. You know what I mean? I want to talk to real people. I want to talk to people that actually are interested in interesting ideas, not people that are interested in skibbity toilet.
Is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another, making them pursue you. Law
This doesn't have to be manipulated. Like none of these laws have to be manipulated either. It's just you can use them to recognize what people are doing to you. I think that do not commit to anyone is I think it could be taken in a positive light as well because like when you become too partisan and you become too one way or the other, you lose sight of the bigger picture.
21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person.
This is something if you do this with older, this is how you get older people to like you, okay? Even if you know about a subject, you ask them about their personal experience. This is something I don't I don't dumb myself down, but like asking simple questions and making someone feel smart is such a skill. Asking things that make people uh, explain something about themselves, explain their own experience, and explain their individual experience. It's something that really builds connection. So it's not necessarily dumbing yourself down to victimize the other person. It's dumbing yourself down so that you can have an honest conversation. So like even if you know about something, even if you have a preconceived notion about something, you get someone else's perspective. Can you watch a video about King Henry VIII and his six wives? No, it's just boring. I don't really like history.
The trick then is to make your victims feel smart, and not just smart, but smarter than you are. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior motives. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power.
So this is the inverse of the other one. Crush your enemy completely. This is the inverse. If you surrender, if you give in some way, this allows you to regroup. So like even if it's not like a ceremonial surrender, even if it's like let's say I'm fighting someone in jujitsu, they are going for an armbar, but I give them my back instead. So I'm still in danger. I still need to recollect and attack and escape and in some way put myself in a non-dangerous position. But like I surrendered my back instead of giving him the armbar, and I have another day to fight. I have another day to regroup. I have another day to in some way regain my footing in the fight. So it's not just about like a ceremonial surrender where like, oh well, this general surrendered so that he could regroup and then he eventually got all like no, there's a million ways to take this in life, and these lessons are like they transcend the actual words, they transcend the actual examples. You can find applications of this even in just basic psychology.
When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror, time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. By turning the other cheek, you infuriate and unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power. Law 23. Concentrate your
Don't spread yourself too thin, not just physically but mentally as well. Like yes, thanks for the egg comments.
forces. Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the one key patron, the fat cow, who will give you milk for a long time to come. Law 24. Play.
Play the game. This is the idea. Like know your role. Don't be too good. Don't be too bad. Don't be too obedient. Like it's playing playing the role and playing it to perfection and almost almost it's the push and pull. It's the same thing when you're in a relationship. It's like you can't be overly attached, you can't be overly dismissive. It's the give and take. It's the ability to be one thing in one moment and the other in the other. I don't know,
A,
play.
the perfect courtier. The perfect
Oh, I
courtier
have to
thrives in a
gotta
world
find
where
my
everything
maps.
revolves around power
Okay,
and
there it
political
is.
dexterity. He has mastered the art of indirection. He flatters, yields to superiors, and asserts power over others in the most oblique and graceful manner. Learn and apply the laws of
I have to go in
courtiership,
like five
and there will be
minutes.
no limit to how far you can rise in the court. Law 25. Recreate.
This is the idea of um like when people assume something of you, they expect that of you. And it's like a lot of times we solidify in our expectations. A lot of times we allow ourselves to become the funny guy or this guy or this guy. It's it's very important for you to constantly recreate yourself because when you stagnate into one thing, this limits yourself. It's very important to start changing things about yourself and start changing how others perceive you because how others perceive you has a real effect on your world. Like if you walk into a room and everyone views you as a confident person, you're going to achieve more. But if you walk into a room and you're negative and your head's down, your body language is bad, like people aren't going to take you as serious. Not to be disagreeable, but it's hard enough for me not to look selfish even when I don't think I'm being selfish. I mean, a lot of these things are like, so reading this book and trying to apply these things is not going to work. The thing about manipulation is this is what Robert Greene said, it's you can't just read this book and be a master manipulator. To read this book and learn the tools and the tricks, all it's going to help you is recognize when other people do it to you, to be intentionally manipulative, to be intentionally I'm going to get my way through this thing. You need more than just reading the 48 Laws of Power. You need to learn body language. You need to learn selective honesty. You need to learn tone of voice. You need to be able to be a devious person, and most people aren't cut out for it. So don't fixate on it so much. Like it's just be a genuine person, and most of the things kind of just come to you. I think like when you're trying to do things consciously and you're trying to force it consciously, it's not going to work out because it's going to be inauthentic. But when it's actually you, that's when it's easier. Do you like history? No, I don't like history. I think most of history is boring. The history I like is like the overview. So like I don't care about the dates. I don't necessarily care about like, oh, well, this battle happened in this. Like I care about the people, the motivations. Like Napoleon's interesting to me, but I won't read a Napoleon book because I don't care about the individual battles. I don't care about the individual campaigns. I'm like, why did this short French dude almost take over the whole world? What drove him to do this? What were the societal factors that allowed him to do this? What was happening in France that you know motivated these people to go out and conquer? Like I think that's more interesting than any history. I think it's interesting to tie these individuals into ourselves and see the traits in ourselves. I like stuff about World War II and the famine. Yeah, World War II is interesting. I'm just like I don't know. There's so many people in this world that will always know more history than me. Like it's being a history buff is like a personality. I don't have enough time to be a history buff, man. Like that's like devoting the rest of your life to watching the History Channel all night long and then arguing about it in the comments sections. Like I just don't have the time and energy for that. I think I'm gonna stream again later. Um, I'll probably do the rest of these laws. I unfortunately have to go somewhere. Well, unfortunately, like I want to go, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I'll stream again later probably. I don't think you guys will get the notification because it'll be the second stream I do in a day. So if you want to get the notification, go join my Discord. If not, hopefully you see this. But if you were here, thank you for being here. Love you.